everyone. May 14th, 2026, we'll call to order this Summer County Board of Education statutory meeting. Actually, we're calling it back to order. We are calling it to order. Let the minutes reflect that all 5 board members are present. New business, we have discussion or possible action regarding entering the levy rates and levy order. We have those here that were presented to us. Do you all have anything you want to say about these? Is there anything we need to be aware of?
The only thing I will mention is that we did have an increase. Property values did increase this year. We also did receive some pipeline money this year, so we did have, our tax basis is a little larger this year. So our projected net taxes to be collected are the $4.7 million. So,
as opposed to, I think we were expecting maybe.
it was actually, I think about 4 million. So it is about, well, it's about $650,000 more than what we had anticipated.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the levy rates that have been presented to us. Second. Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we accept the levy rates as presented, and levy rates and levy orders presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the levy rates and levy order have been approved as presented. At this time, I will make a motion that we recess this meeting until May 28th, 2026.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we recess this meeting until May 28th, 2026. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, this meeting is now recessed. The time is 6:05 p.m.
Greg, is that?
I just muted it just now, because I was going to be shuffling papers up here.
Please, that would be very kind.
It's been there. Denise asked me, I said, honey, I don't know what that is. She said, well, was it a kid coming back to school? I don't know, I want to update the board. I don't know, so so I gotta strike that one.
So these transfers and supplements are basically cleaning up your stuff.
Yes, and then a couple of them were, we had received revenue, so I was just supplementing the budget. We received revenue, so I was just supplementing the budget to show that we had that revenue come in.
Yeah, that was from Denise, wasn't it?
Yes.
When did she send that out?
This one,
Today? Okay. Okay. All right, we will now call to order the Summers County Board of Education regular meeting, May 14th, 2026, at 6:10 p.m. Again, let the minutes reflect that all 5 board members are present. And I would like to ask Mrs. Farley if she would lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, approval of agenda with adjustments.
Make a motion that we pull R.T. Rogers, Safe and Sound, the Ritz, and Renee Farley to be dealt with separately.
We have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, to pull R.T. Rogers, Safe and Sound, the Ritz, and Renee Farley, and handle those separately under bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will pull R.T. Rogers, Safe and Sound, Ritz, and Renee Farley, and handle those separately under bills.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes.
Second. Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the agenda has been approved with the Item 4, student discipline, we have none. No action on that item. Item 5, presentations, we have the Summers County Public Library. Turn it over to you, sir.
First of all, thank y'all for letting me come back down and share a few things with you. I know y'all are busy. I'll try not to take too much of your time. First thing I want to let you know is that we went through 1,373 books we checked out from the bookmobile through the school system this year. That's a pretty good number for only serving 3 schools. That's not bad. Some of the schools we accommodate weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly as they need us. The school will call and say, listen, our 5th graders can't get books on Wednesday because we're testing. Can you come back on Thursday? We try to accommodate. We don't want to cut any kid out. The preschoolers it's fantastic. We're getting them introduced to reading and how to check out a book. So we're working on all grade levels. We serve them all grade levels. We do after-school activities that focus something on literacy, and we try to do a make it and take it home type deal. We read outside so the kids get outside time as well as reading time, if the weather permits. We have a photo booth that we've set up for dances. If a kid is not missed any school, we can do a special photo booth of all the kids that haven't missed or special activities, which is going pretty good. PTA meetings are asking us to come and set up this photo booth because kids love getting their pictures taken. So that's working out pretty good. We've implemented a Dewey remix. I'm sure all of you all know what it's like to check out a book, you gotta find it and all that other stuff. If a kid wants a book on horses, it depends on if it's a horse, a horse, or a racehorse. It's in 3 different sections of the library. On the bookmobile, the horses are together. So we introduce them to books like that, then as they get older, the Dewey Decimal System will come into play. We make it real simple for children to find the book that they want, which is our goal. So that's what we have done. Eventually, like I said, they will learn the Dewey Decimal System. Even though our generator was down this year from the whole school system, we did different portable power sources. We did LED lighting. We didn't have any heater air conditioning, so the kids either just put their pencil when they came out real quick. Our generator is still down, but we're still going to make the bookmobile accessible. So we're working on all that. Like I said, we're thinking outside the box. We didn't close down the bookmobile, we just come up with a solution. Because we did not want that to happen. One of the things that we also implemented this year, it used to be when a kid got on the bookmobile, we had to either scan their bracelet, scan their library card. That was one more thing for the child to keep up with, and the teacher to keep up with. It was a mess. And if you scanned that card or that bracelet, that told me everything I needed to know about that kid. Way too much information. You know, we did not need to have mom and dad's phone number, emergency. We didn't need that. That information could have gotten lost or mishandled, and somebody could have found a kid's card and known everything about that child. So we quit that. Right now, as soon as a book enters the bookmobile, it is checked out to Summers County schools. If Susie transfers from one school to the other, it doesn't matter. We're not looking for that book at Jumping Branch or Susie to hit there. So any book on the bookmobile is checked out to Summers County schools. It's simplified. They get on the bookmobile. The younger grades only choose 1 book. Upper grades can choose 2. They come in and pick the book up, say, Mr. Jeff, then we try to screen it. Like a kindergarten kid doesn't need Harry Potter. It's because he likes to cut. So we give some sort of screening to them. We don't judge what reading level they're at. Sometimes a teacher will say, they're just a pretty good reader, you can bump him up. So that's what we try to do, is individualize the books for the kids. If a 6th grader is comfortable reading Humpty Dumpty, then we're not going to say that's a baby book or something. If that's what they want to read, because that's our goal. Read whatever you want to read. Because we get force-fed books as we get up in that level in the grades. The teacher said, you will read this book. You will report on this book. Right now, our goal is to let children read what they want to read. we're gonna do pop-up activities this summer. We're gonna show up at the beach, at the water slide, at the ball field. We're gonna do kids' activities, we're gonna try to give away some free books, do some stickers and that. But one of the things that we're gonna try to set up this summer, kids really seem to enjoy, you take the small oranges or tangerines and a permanent marker and you decorate. Kids still get to eat. You know, it's not no waste, you know, it's a snack. We show up, parents maybe, most tangerines are moist, so they don't have to get a drink. If you're outside playing or playing basketball there, we'll set up some decorated thing, take a picture of it, have a picture contest, and the kids eat oranges. It's a lot of fun, doesn't cost a whole lot of money. And some kids will put stickers on them, and some kids don't want to eat them after they decorate. That's what's cool. You know, like, oh, I actually this, you know. So we do that. So we've got a lot of pop-up activities, which we think the kids will enjoy. We're just gonna set up and say, here's what we got, then try to get involved in some of our summer programs. The last thing that we've implemented is we've got an app for that. We're trying to catch up with modern technology. So right now, if somebody wants to book Humpty Dumpty, they can go to that app, come to the library, they come to the library and pick up Humpty Dumpty. We're also working with the schools and the teachers. If 8 o'clock in the morning is the best time slot for them, they can sign up for 8 o'clock. And they can tell us when they want us to be there, because we're trying to start, because classroom time is limited anyhow, and we don't want to break up something. You know, if we fit a little bit between math and science, then that's when they're going to be there and their kids can come out. Bookmobile is a whole lot quicker now since we don't check out books, we check in books. It used to take a kid about 5 minutes to check their book in, pick out a book, check out a book. So that was 5 minutes per child. So the teachers are frustrated, the kids, if it was one class in Talcott has 23 kids, I believe. Just think of how long that would have taken to get that class through the bookmobile. So now it's a matter of just minutes coming through the bookmobile. So that's what's happening. I gave you all a packet of some of the stuff. And like I said, we got an app for that because we had to modernize the library. We had no choice. The library right now, we cannot access Facebook. Whatever is happening with the Facebook is causing computer lockups and computer crashes. Our computers are controlled by the West Virginia Library Committee. The screen out porn or inappropriate sites is done by the West Virginia Library Commission. They are now shutting down Facebook access on all library computers because something is going on with Facebook at our level. So we got a lot of kids that come in and want to go to Facebook because their parents don't know they have Facebook. So yeah, yes. So that's just one of the things that the library is trying to safeguard and make sure our kids are taken care of. And if you need anything from the library, let me know.
Do you still have Guinness Book of World Records books on? Do you still have? Although it was many, many years ago, I still remember getting on the bookmobile with no interest at all in a book, but it got me out of class. But I found something interesting on the bookmobile, the Guinness Book of World Records books pulled me in, and I was extremely interested. And then I read where there was records on things that I didn't even know existed, and so that kind of pulled me in to read about those subjects that I didn't know about. And so I'm kind of rambling here just to say that one way or another, you can get pulled into something good.
Yeah, and we still have those books. And we still have a thing, scary books. We have a section called Fact or Fiction. You know, are mermaids real? Yes. No. Read a book. Read a book. And the kids love it. The scary section is check out immediately. I mean, they come straight to the scary section. Speaking of that, there was a science project, and it was cooking science projects. So there's a 4th grader now talking that's probably going to go to the cupcake business. Because he read this thing about cupcakes, and so, but it is a lot of fun serving kids on the book. It is a lot of fun. Teachers look forward to it. Teachers check out books that coincide with the class. They did the John Henry thing. We borrowed books from all of the neighboring libraries that we could about John Henry, and class with different John Henrys, the fictional John Henry and real documented steam-driven engines and tractors. So the teachers are using us, we try to accommodate them, whatever they want a lesson plan on, we'll hook them up. Princeton no longer is part of the Western Library Commission, it's one of the only libraries that are not owned or operated by the Western Library Commission. So we can't borrow books from Princeton. So, but you're right, Mr. Brooks.
It's just a good thing being there, and then it gives them an opportunity to get pulled in.
Does anyone have any questions of me that I can possibly answer from the library? Concerns that you have about the bookmobile and the library?
You also have the alarm.
He's past his life expectancy. He's really fat and lazy now.
Oh. So
Every-
he's still there.
But he is huge. If you have not seen him lately, that is one spoiled critter right there. But their normal life expectancy in captivity is about 8 years, and he's 10. So every morning we check and poke him, because we don't want kids coming in and, yeah.
That would be have to replace him.
Yes, but we still do have him, we still take him to the schools. We have a cat backpack with the globe,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so he goes to school.
Okay.
So we still do that. He's not as friendly as he used to be. Some days he does not like pet.
Little grumpy.
He
Well,
just,
when we get old, we get a little grumpy.
that's what we keep saying to him. He's old, whatever he wants. So, but our plan is if he passes, we're going to replace him.
Oh.
That's all. And he costs us $275 last year, $274. I think we spent $274 in critter food last year, something like that. But he eats well. And if you see him, yeah, he's a fat old man.
Life goals.
And if you call him, just, you have to put boil in front of him, because he's a boil breed. So if you just call him a common, lizard or something, you can't handle it. You gotta put that boil in there. But we love him, kids love him, so people come in, check him out. Some people just come and look at him. We've got a gentleman, I think he's in Forest Hill, he grows some special kind of lettuce, and he saves, some of that for him, which is like a treat.
Yeah.
Yes. So other than that, questions?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
call on us if you need anything, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6, public comments. Item 7, we have the minutes from the April 28th, 2026 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as read.
Second. Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, to approve the minutes as read. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by 3-0 vote with two abstentions, that the April 28th, 2026 regular meeting minutes have been approved as read. All right. We are now at bills, and we will handle individually the ones that were pulled out for the adjustments on the agenda. So first, we will take care of R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound.
I'll make a motion to pay R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound.
Second. We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, to pay R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote, with Mr. Brogan recusing himself due to conflict of interest, that R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound have been approved.
I recuse myself from
I'll make a motion to approve the bill for the Ritz.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brad, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we pay the bill for the Ritz. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. The minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote with Mrs. Harvey recusing herself due to a conflict of interest. The bill for the Ritz has been approved for payment.
I'm recusing myself because I can't pay myself. There's a conflict of interest.
All right, we have before us now the bill to pay for Renee Farley.
Make a motion to pay Renee.
Second.
Or Diane.
Diane.
Whatever she-
So we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride. We pay the bill for Diane Renee Harvey, or Farley. Sorry. Too many things written on my paper. We pay the bill for Diane Renee Farley. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote with Mrs. Farley recusing herself due to a conflict of interest. The bill for Diane Renee Farley has been approved for payment. All right, we have now before us the remainder of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the remainder of the bills.
Second. We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we pay the remainder of the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the remainder of the bills have been approved for payment. Item 9, we have approval of transfers and supplements. So, is there anything that you want to point out on this for us? See Fund 11 cleanup here on the first page.
Yeah, there's Fund 11 cleanup, the unfunded retirement liability. We did receive our allocation for fiscal year '26, so there was actually a reduction of the $540,000. And then there was cleanup. I did do cleanup by each location, so that's why the 4 schools are on there. And then the supplement, again, that was just $21,000 that we did not have in the original budget that we received revenue for. So I just added that to the budget, and that's how those are in there.
So these amounts are added to the 26-27 budget for those schools?
Yes, that is correct. And some of those on the end, those like 110 to 117, or 110 to 116, those funds, the reason why those are on there, they were all budgeted to reserve. And so those have been budgeted out to the line items that they have actually been spent from.
I think that's amazing that we have some funds left over for the schools. Kudos to all those folks.
Make a motion to approve the transfer of supplements. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we approve the transfers and supplements. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the transfers and supplements have been approved. Item 10, old business, discussion of possible action regarding virtual options for the 26-27 school year.
Dr. Knott is handing out two things to you. One is just a general overview, and then the other is kind of how it tailors it to things that students might need based on IEPs. So what this process started out as kind of looking at what our options were for a virtual program. If there was something that was more cost effective than what we were using. With the companies that we talked to, there was mixed options of who offered live and full live classes and what the schedule for that looked like. So ultimately what we've decided is to kind of leave in place the option of proximity as a full-time virtual option, as a live asynchronous option. But we would like to add subject as a asynchronous option, because that's kind of what we lose typically when a person wants to go virtual and we say, well, we offer this. Well, they don't usually take advantage of that due to the fact that proximity is you have to log in at a certain time. So the team we looked at subject, we looked at Imagine Learning, which is Edgenuity, and then we looked at Edmentum. Those are the three, and subject met all the boxes that we wanted and then some. None of them offered West Virginia studies, but subject was the one that would commit to within a year offering West Virginia studies. But in the packet, there's a lot of features in there that help tailor. That it could be tailored to a student's IEP or a 504 need. In fact, subject will send a certified teacher to those meetings to help craft that IEP if there's a student with an IEP or a 504 that wishes to go virtual. Currently, we don't really have that option for those students. This gives us that option. This one focuses a lot on reading and videos, but not like 55-minute long videos. It's bite-sized videos, and then the content, it works its way. We've been talking the last several years about DOK levels, DOK 1. This works it through the DOK level so that there's low-level practice, and then you move on to some medium level, and then there's a writing component in every lesson as well. So you get to that DOK 3 level work. We also talked to them about coming to speak to you all. We said they could come in person, or actually we said they could Zoom in if they wanted to. They asked to come in person to present to you all at the next board meeting, and so we've already told them the time and told them to pencil that in. And I could show you. I could send you a video, but I think it would be better if they just kind of walked you through their platform and you got to see it when they came at the next board meeting in May. We had our team really look at it. I asked Ms. Cochran to kind of look at the IEP part of it to kind of make sure that we weren't just kind of getting a lot of fluff there. And she was pleased with what she saw with that as well. So ultimately, I think what we're getting, and part of this is not just synchronous. There are teachers that they can reach out to and have a live video chat if they want to. And I think it's like a 12-hour window of time where they can have a content area teacher talk to them. So there's still that live person component that they can get as well.
So that would be, say, on a topic they're struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that, when you say a 12-hour time, is that a 12-hour window per semester per student?
No. Like it's a window of day, like customer service hours.
Gotcha.
So ultimately, I think it's a really solid option to provide our students. I honestly think proximity will stay, but I honestly think that the utilization of proximity will dwindle with this option as well. But I think this will support our students even better than what we're seeing, because the students are struggling and their teacher of record will reach out to them and work with them to make sure that they're staying on track and they're learning. So it's not just we've talked like a West Virginia Learns type virtual school type of thing where you never hear the teacher, or hear from the teacher. So I think there's a lot of things to safeguard kids to make sure that there's mastery. That was something else we asked too, because one of the things that when I talked to each program, I was like, I want to retain our students, I do, but I also don't want to retain them at a situation where we just retain them, but then they're not learning and they're not performing and growing academically like they should just for the sake of retaining students. And so this company addressed that as well. So they've been very helpful. The cost is a little bit more. It's $2,500 instead of the $1,950 that we pay with Proximity. But I think the students that we retain and the services that we will offer them that Proximity doesn't offer is worth that. But they've also agreed to give us free seats for credit recovery at kind of at a ratio. Right now it's like a 1-to-1 ratio. So there will be some cost savings on that end as well. We'll save in paying for credit recovery because we pay for credit recovery during the school year. We just don't pay for it during the summer. And so kind of going with them like as our credit recovery vehicle in the school year will save us a little bit of money. So we're paying a little bit more up front, but we're also getting a substantial savings on the back end with another program that they offer.
State aid still more than covers that $2,500.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Have you guys, well, I guess let me back up. So how did you all learn about this company?
Ironically, they showed up on my phone one day.
They've
And-
been listening.
and and I talked to them, and then at first I was like, all right, whatever, and then I really listened to their speech, and I looked at their product, and I liked it a lot. It really piqued my interest, especially when we started talking about students with disability, the needs for those, and tailoring it. And then when I told them, hey, these are some things we need, and they said, no problem, we understand. And then the team looked at it. They looked at it with me, and then we met with them. The team met with Subject today, and they were impressed as well. They addressed all their issues. One of the things that we're doing next year is we're adopting Schoology as our gradebook program, but also our online learning system, because Weavis Gradebook has caused our teachers lots of problems and parents lots of problems. And so Schoology kind of puts the best of live grades. If you remember live grades, being able to message, communicate, it puts that with Google Classroom. Well, an unintended consequence is Subject will integrate with Schoology. So virtual parents of virtual students, because Subject doesn't have a parent portal. I mean, they can look at their kids, but they will sync nightly. So when a teacher in Subject puts a grade in the Subject's grade book, it'll sync to the Schoology grade book, so the parent can log into their parent portal in Schoology and see the grades just like any other teacher would, plus have access to all the information, because the schools will start putting out a lot of things in Schoology, like information-wise, because it has that capability. So they'll get a lot of benefits from that too. I think that was just kind of an unintended consequence, and we learned that today.
My sister-in-law used Schoology, I think it was Schoology in Oklahoma, and she was a huge fan of it. Did they provide you, are you familiar with anybody in the state that's using this product, and or provide you with any references from schools and or parents?
So I've asked for that information, and they told me that they wanted to ask with the partners that they've worked with in West Virginia for permission to share that. So if I don't get that, then I'll probably just start back channeling through other curriculum directors in the state to ask if anybody's used them. So I'm working on that one.
Where's I guess just out of curiosity, their headquarters, where are they located? They're coming to our next board meeting, right? Real close.
Well, everybody that's ever called me has had a West Virginia phone number. So
And
I think they have regional, regional people because, they're pretty close. I'll be honest with you, sir, that was not a question I asked, was where are you located?
You mentioned Texas today.
So their address of record on their website is California.
And then, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, I probably should have given you a heads up on this. Do you have a rough number of students that we have enrolled right now in virtual programs?
Yeah. It's about 30 at the moment.
And do you know a breakdown of synchronous versus asynchronous?
Our own, well, okay, so sort of. Our full-time virtual is only the synchronous option, so that's 30 of those individuals. Now, students who take, I don't have the number right offhand of students who are taking individual virtual classes like during the day. I don't have that number. And I've kind of told them that, but I honestly see this could benefit. I could see us potentially having maybe 50 virtual kids next year with this option.
So 2,500 per student,
Mm-hmm.
that's for a complete curriculum.
For 7 unlimited classes for a whole year.
Okay, what will they do individual classes? So,
They do, and I do have a cost for that one, and I don't have it with me right
the
offhand.
only reason I ask, I know that whenever, I think it was my daughter, was enrolling from middle school to high school,
Mhm.
there were, electives were limited.
Right.
And so one of the things that they offered her was to be able to take through a virtual class an elective. And that's the only thing I'm wondering, if we would have the ability to offer
Like,
any type of electives to our students.
we would have the ability to do that. So, based on the pricing, single course, so two semesters, it would be $500 a course. And I would have to look at exactly what we were paying with West Virginia Virtual School to see. So it is an option that we have. We kind of have to look at the breakdown for that one. I like it. I think it's a really good option. We'll just have to, as a district, review if we can. I think we can. I know we can afford, to retain kids at 20 because the cost is there. We'll just have to look at it all together. But it's not beyond the scope of possibility. Speaking of this, the other thing is this company does offer a lot of CTE options as well, so we can have virtual CTE completers. And so the goal is going to be that we're going to basically create a virtual 612 school. So that, if someone wants to do that all the way from 6th grade to 12th grade, then they can do that. And if this is a success, then we will operate and move it to the elementary school as well, because while we all agree that for elementary students, in-person learning is the best option for them. Some families are not going to take that option, and so we kind of have to live in the time. We have to live in the real world versus our ideal world. So if this works out, then I think we move it down to the elementary and see at some point. Ms. Jones and Ms. Crook and I have talked about that in the past. And so we'll see what that looks like. Ms. Crook just asked, how do we get our kids back? One of the things we're going to do once we officially go with this program is Ms. Hawkins is currently drafting kind of what the model looks like for this and the requirements and the process. So we're going to try to put that out, by the end of the year. And she wants to kind of have a window about like first week of August for people to sign up, and then begin reviewing those applications and start the review process. So hopefully if we can market it pretty good, and I hate to use the word marketing when we're in public school, but this is the world we live in now. So if we can market it pretty well over the summer, then I think we can bring back more students. And I think that Mr. Lester, once we kind of have a defined plan of what that looks like, he and I can sit down and talk about, granted, when a parent comes in and wants to go homeschool, we can't counsel them and say, don't. But we can always, say, hey, these are the options. If they're like, I want to take my kid virtual, we can say, well, these are the options that we have for you. And maybe we can kind of stop it before it happens.
Well, and working with communities and schools and some of the other school admins too, as attendance issues, before they get to
Mhm.
you and Mr. Lester, as attendance issues start to happen, to meet with the parents and say,
Let's try
this
this.
is an option.
Yeah.
Kind of
So,
hopefully catch them before they get to that point.
right. I'm excited about the possibility. Like I said, this started as trying to find a cost saving measure, and it might be a little bit more, but I honestly think it's going to benefit students in Summers County more than what we're currently doing right now. And I think it can help our school system a lot.
You mentioned potentially looking at this for elementary. Are we considering synchronous for elementary as well?
All those options will be on the table when we get there.
Because from my personal experience, I will say this may be a really good program, but as you stated, next best thing, being in the classroom is obviously the best.
Right.
I think the next best thing at elementary level, and I'm basing this off of my experience with my child,
Right.
was synchronous learning
Right.
at the elementary level. I'm not saying this wouldn't be
Great.
effective. I think it takes a special student to be able to do this.
I would agree. I would agree with that assessment, and I think being in front of a teacher is the best option. Again, I kind of, and I fought it for a long time, but I also understand in this time when we have all these options, we have to be responsive to the people. We're now, unfortunately, we're kind of a business, even though we're not a business. And so, but yeah, the model for elementary and high school will look very similar. We just want to get the secondary piece right before we put our most vulnerable kids on that.
Okay.
We've had virtual truancy issues in the past. Is there a way to monitor actual attendance on those pretty easily?
Yes, there is through weekly communication via completion reports or student engagement. We as a school can decide how frequently parents and the school gets notification that students are not actively engaged. That was something they talked to us about today, and so I think we'll probably set it up on a weekly basis. And if you weren't engaged last week, that's 5 days of absences. That's 5 unexcused absences. And there's no, yes, you still have to make that work up. Like there's no doubt about that. But that's 5 days of absences. And there's no going back. You can't just make up the work about, oh, I'm good. No, sorry. That's not how this works.
Yeah, that's a very important piece. As Ms. Schaefer may remember, we had an issue with one of mine, and he was literally working as far away from me as Dr. Knott is sitting from me.
Mhm.
And I would watch him, and I thought he was doing his work, and come to find out, I wondered why he wasn't interacting as much. And come to find out, he had decided that he didn't want to go to school that week.
Yep.
So we had to have a talk, and it was a stern talk, and he had to make up all of his work, and he had a very strict grade that he had to complete by the end of that semester.
I'm all for it. So yeah, we talked about that today as well, and that'll be part of the model that we present. And I know I see a lot of great things. These people, they've been wonderful to work with. And like I said today, when I told them 2 things, I was like, you gotta come to a board meeting, and I said, you gotta come in, you gotta be able to Zoom in, and they said, well, can we just come in person? I said, absolutely. And then I was like, you gotta build a West Virginia history class, and they did that. And other companies, I will just say, when I asked them to build a West Virginia history class, the answer I got was, well, just use our program and add stuff to it. Well, I'm sorry, your 8th grade social studies class does not meet my West Virginia history class. So they've been, like I said, they're a young company, they're new, and so they want West Virginia's business. And So I think they're gonna do what they have to do to get West Virginia's business.
Do you know what platform they're using?
Their own platform.
Okay. And then, speaking of which, in the recent news about the campus data breach, do we have, has anybody reported any issues with kids that might be using proximity? They use campus.
Right. We have not heard anything, and Proximity has not told us anything either, to my knowledge. So hopefully we were immune for that, or from that.
All right, any other questions? Comments? All right, so thank you for that information. We will move on to our next agenda item, 10B, discussion of possible action to relocate the Sumter County Central Office. We've had this on several agendas. We did go around and look at the different buildings. We had some public comment at one of our previous meetings. Anyone have any questions?
I mentioned to you about, I had mentioned the potential for the county, and so they should be contacting you in the near future. They want to send someone to go look at the building to see what kind of maintenance costs that they might incur. So just be expecting that.
I think one thing we do need to consider, and I'm gonna let Renee talk a little bit about this, I'll put her on the spot. At the last school board association training, there was some information shared about a bill that was passed, this previous session.
Rick Boothby from Bowles Rice discussed each one of the bills that were passed. He is going to give Dr. Knott, he's going to send you and each one of the board members a copy. He didn't have a handout available to us, nor did he have a PowerPoint at that time. He just went over his notes. Jay was there with me. He said once he's able to get something that the firm is comfortable with in regard to the changes, the Senate bills that were adopted, he would get all of us a copy. Senate Bill 67 is in regard to charter schools, and there's a subsection of that that he wanted to make the board members and superintendents aware of, that when a board closes a school building, charter schools get the first right of refusal. When the closing takes place and the impact statement is submitted to the state, it will have in it, it has to say what, not just the normal stuff like the expenses that were involved and so forth, but also it will have to say why it was closed and what you plan to do with the building. And then for 90 days, you can't do anything because a charter school has 90 days within which to submit a bid to be able to come to that building and use the building for a charter school. And after that, if a charter school does decide to use the building that's vacated, it's our understanding, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, am I right so far with what you understood? That money will not go to the county itself if the building is rented or sold, that money goes to the state. Is that what you understood also? So that's just my notes from when he talked, when Rick Boothby from Bowles Rice spoke, but again, he's gonna give us a copy of this after he gets everything tightened up, so.
And I will go ahead and say that I know that information is a little different than what is here on the agenda as far as the relocation of the central office, but I know in kind of the same discussion that we've talked about central office, we've also talked about potentially selling or turning that building over, doing something else with that building because of the cost. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. And then the other thing is once we're out of that building, I guess I would like to know if we do move the central office, at what point is that building considered vacated still being used, if it's being used just for sporting events, things like that. I do know there are some practices that take place. Basketball, I think does some practice. I know there was 2 or 3 weeks ago, a basketball tournament, they did play some games up there, because the number of teams that came in, and Benji Farley was telling me that they just didn't have room seating wise in the new gym that we have here. So, I guess if we do relocate the central office, as long as we still own that building, if there's no one downstairs, is that building still considered occupied per se if we're using? Because I know when we quit using the gym, the little gym in the old middle school, it was no longer occupied and couldn't be used for anything after that point. So that's one concern that I have, that I would like to try to get some clarification on.
And he mentioned more than once about the impact statement, about how clear the impact statement would have to be when it was submitted to the state as far as the intended use, if there was gonna be any use, what the building would have to be used for. So I guess, you would have to, it would have to be spelled out for upstairs and downstairs. And then the state would decide at that point if the charter school was eligible to make that bid, I guess, for the 90 days.
And of course, that's if we get to the point where we're going to either sell or build it.
Right.
But I guess my concern right now is if we do move the central office out, is that building considered vacated and are we no longer allowed to use the upstairs?
Well, I guess our maintenance still use it. And we have our food, and everything there, so it would still be occupied.
At least for a period of time until we do everything.
As far as the bills go for that building, I know we talked, there was a figure given to us of about $64,000 that it cost for last year, or this current year.
It was an average, yes.
Okay, and then the previous year was about 35.
So the water had an increase. I would have to pull it up. Either the water or the electric had an increase. Some of that did do, I think there was a leak in between the two buildings, but I do think that it has been fixed.
Okay.
But on average, we are spending about $64,000 to $65,000 a year to operate that facility, yes.
And then, the cost, that $64,000, what all does that include?
Natural gas, electricity, water, those are the three.
Okay.
Insurance, no?
Insurance is not included in that one.
So, can you do, not now, but is it difficult to give a breakdown of the previous year and this $64,000 of electric, water, and natural gas?
Yeah, I can email it to you.
Okay. If you would, please.
When was the water leak fixed?
I'm not sure. I would have to ask
This year,
transportation.
I mean, it's been fixed prior to this year beginning.
I'm assuming so. Yeah, I'm not sure when it was fixed. I would have to ask maintenance.
I think it's 2 years ago.
And then, I know one of the other things we talked about with that building is the water in the building. It's not
Because of the pipe.
the old pipes, it's kind of rusty. And does it ever flush, does it flush out? You have to run a lot of water, or does it stay that way?
Or for a very long time. I don't know that I've run it long enough. Have you, Dr. Lee?
The hot water in the kitchen will, if you run it a while, will run out. The cold water does not always. You can run it. The water in the water continuously stains, and granted, it is a bathroom, but it is what it is. But It's continuously staining the sink and the toilet and the bathroom because it's just all the time.
The building, the corrosion.
So looking at the utilities, it is just the water, sewage, the natural gas, and electricity. And for a 3-year average, looking at 24, 25, and 26, we are looking at about 65,000. In 23, the three of those cost 53,000. In 24, which must have been the cost, and this is based on the fiscal year, not the calendar year. But in 24, it was $97,000. In 25, it was 45,000, and then this year, it is 65,000. And that is so far. And the biggest expense, other than the water and sewage, is the electricity.
If we move to the former board office, are there any renovations that will need done to move into there? Okay, and then no students will be in that room?
Has there been any follow-up discussions with the area team? Dr. Green, followed up with Ms. Gum and adjustments done?
Yeah, Ms. Gum and I walked her building. We kind of discussed how it could be laid out, and pretty much most of her concerns were addressed.
We met with her first in the board office and then he went to the area office.
She had a whole lot of parking issue concerns. Has anybody, I'm assuming the city owns that vacant lot that's right there where you turn in where the school sits.
Mhm.
Vacant, I think it's even dirt now. Yeah. The city may work with us for us to acquire that in some way to use it for parking, to eliminate that issue.
We can reach out to the city and try to see if they're willing to work with us.
All right.
So what would be the plan if you need to close any of the other schools for whatever reason? For students,
To close, if we needed to move students over. If we had to move students over, Hinton area could still, Hinton area had 600 kids at one time, and we don't even have 600 kids in elementary school, in all three of our elementary schools right now. So Hinton area could, and they didn't have the annex at that point either. So they have the space to make that work.
It is, I guess the flip side, like, if Talcott, Hinton area, and or Jumping Branch should have to close for whatever reason, is there a plan and is there space to relocate those students reasonably to somewhere else? Other than Hinton area? Yeah, like if something should happen, that Hinton area was the one that had to close. Or, and same question for like Talcott. Right.
So if Hinton area let's say Hinton area would have to close for a catastrophe or something, we would probably have to look at some bus routes, but we could relocate those students to Jumping Branch and Talcott if we had to. Even if it was a short term or whatever, we could rehouse those students in those two schools. Now, I don't think I know, that would put both of those buildings at maximum capacity. But the state would say that's great utilization of your buildings. But it could be done. We could put them in those two schools.
What do you know the maximum capacity for Hinton area?
Not right off the top of my head.
And the only reason I ask, I know you said there'd been 600. I remember in several years back, when they only went through the 5th grade, there were about 400 students, if I remember correctly, there at that time. And they were
Right.
busting at the seams and had sent 6th grade to,
The
no, they moved 5th
fifth
grade.
grade to
They were through 4th grade. Their 5th grade
Right.
was coming to the middle school.
right. I don't have it right off the top of my head.
I'm just curious
But I
what
can
that building was built for.
I can look at that though. And then honestly, if worst scenario, honestly, we already have one pre-K class down here. We're putting a pre-K program down here. You know, with the declining enrollment, we have space. We could put the entire pre-K program down here, and it could be an even greater model with the CTE program that we already have. So even that, so if we did that, that would be even more flexibility that we have as a district to do.
We have kind of talked about some of these things, but we don't have them down on paper as a plan, but we can work on them.
If we were to approve the move, how long do you, have you talked about how long it would take to transition from one building to the other? Is it something that would be done over the summer?
At the end of the summer, but probably earlier than that.
We'd like to give Hinton area time to move themselves. And like those last couple of days of the school year where, we've had to add because of the calendar changes. That would help us, if we're able to do that, that would help Hinton area plan, to make that happen during those days. And then, like Dr. Knott said, we would start the move of the board office, and by summer's end, we would relocate.
So what I'm hearing is that if we were to approve it tonight, you all probably wouldn't start moving until after school is over.
Correct.
So I know we talked about it at our last work session, because we went to the buildings. I think that as we brainstorm, I think that maybe, I'm sure we're gonna have another work session pretty soon. I was kind of leaning toward a work session toward the end of the school year. I know we haven't really set a date or anything, but have a work session toward the end of the school year, and I would really like to address this during that work session. And that way, we had 2 board members that weren't able to go with us to that building, and that way we could do another walkthrough for those board members.
Is that a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I'm just kind of throwing that out there.
We can also have clarification on that, what do you do with the building?
The building, yeah. There's just some questions that, and a lot of times I'll sit around and think about this, and the questions don't hit me till I hear somebody say something else, or till I hear one of the responses you all give, and then another question will come to mind.
And by
so-
then, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
by then we'll know more about the, what we're dealing with as far as what we were talking about the charter schools.
Right.
Having, first grade refusal and how,
So,
what is a vacant, what does vacant building mean?
what I would like to do is just plan a work session. Maybe our first meeting in June. School should be out by then. Everything should kind of be settling down. And with that, if we did it in the first meeting in June, would that give time for the transition to take place if it were approved?
The first meeting in June is not until after everybody is gone.
It won't
Okay, so
give the
we need-
Hinton area people time to move their stuff.
I got you. I thought we needed to wait. I thought they needed to move stuff before we started that transition, but they need to know whether they have to move. their
Right.
stuff.
They're kind of the linchpin in this.
Gotcha. Okay.
We do have
Another meeting
meeting
was
in May.
May, yeah. So I'm gonna make a motion that we postpone this until our meeting in May, second meeting in May. And then possibly consider a work session. That doesn't first, I'll make a motion that we postpone this action to relocate the central office to the meeting in May, and that will be May 20. I thought it was 26, May 26.
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
Second.
So there's a motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we postpone action to relocate Summers County Central Office to the May 26th, 2026 board meeting. Is there any discussion? I would just like to say that we want to consider a work session for that meeting. Yeah, but that doesn't have to be part of this, that's just some discussion. So the motion is to postpone any action on this until the May 26th. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstained? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will postpone action on relocation of Sumter County Central Office to the May 26th, 2026. Item 11, new business, approved purchases over $25,000. We have none. Item B, under new business, discussion of the FY27 budget. Should be, we all received some handouts.
Is it just these two?
The two handouts.
Yes. Okay, so I just wanted to go over a couple things because we would be or you all will be voting on the budget next week. And I need to pull up one other thing. So I have to make myself a copy. Okay, so the first thing that you have in front of you is this one. I don't know if you can see it. It's the Statement of Estimated Revenues and Expenditures. And this is basically the budget for next year. This is everything for the current general expense fund is everything for county, and then the special revenue is from our federal sources. And whenever we look at that, it is what our property taxes, which is what you all looked at this evening for the proposed tax rate, which is the 4.7 million. Other local sources is the 45,000, which is an estimate of what we would be receiving in interest for next year. Our state aid for schools, which would be the 10.3 million, and everything comes one down. And then the estimated beginning balance of the $3 million. And then those transfers in and other financing sources, those are things like what we would get with indirect costs and contingency and everything like that. So that's where all of that comes in. So that's where we get our revenues of 18.5. So then whenever we come down, we see all of our expenses for next year. We have our instruction, our support services, and then community services. Whenever you see that for 18.5, that's what we have been historically been giving to the library, which is the $18,500. But I also gave you a handout based on what the state sends us every year, and the recommendation for the library this year is $16,492. So you all will need to make a decision if we are going to continue giving them the $18,500 that we've historically given them, or if we are going to reduce that to the $16,492 based on what the state recommends. So that is something that you all will have to decide and vote on, and I'm not sure if it's later on in the agenda or if we need to put that on for the next board meeting, but we will need to make a decision if we are going to continue doing the 18.5 or based on what the state recommendation is for the $16,492. But I did go ahead and budget what was in there last year with the $18,500.
What's the recommendation from the state based on?
That is based on, and I figured this out the other day. It's based on our tax basis, total tax, local support, and then there was something else, and I think it does have something to do with enrollment as well. And it looks like it also has something to do with, county commission as well. So, and that is a decrease from what, we have, but it is completely up to you all with what we have, with what we give. But that is what the state recommends that we give, is the $16,492. And then, as you see with one of our last expenditures, it is, debt service, which is the $158,000, and we do have that through fiscal year 28. So that is for the ESG contract of, the energy savings that was taken out in 2013. So we have a couple more years on that. So as we come down with our expenditures, for, general fund, I will make the note that yes, everything is balanced on here, and something I don't think I did a very good job of is we are having to use our carryover beginning balance to make sure everything balances. So as we're moving forward, we're getting into our carryover to make sure everything's balanced. Now, we will have more revenue that will come in next year that I did not include because I was being very conservative. But things are getting tight. So we just need to be very vigilant in how we are spending funds. So I'm not people's favorite person because I have been saying no. And Dr. Green is one of those people because he keeps putting in requisitions and I'm like, I'm not processing that. And can this wait until July 1st? But it is what it is.
So, the estimated beginning balance is $3 million.
Yes.
And that's coming from our,
And I'm being conservative in that as well.
that's coming from our carryover.
Yes.
How does the state look at that when you use the beginning balances or use the carryover as beginning balance? Do all counties do that, or is it?
Some counties do. I will say that this is a continuing problem in lots of counties. So whenever I was last week in Charleston, I was in Charleston last week, and I was talking to JP Mowry, who is my mentor right now. I went to him and I was like, I'm really concerned because, and he said, I've gone through your numbers multiple times. I actually was just texting with him, and he's like, your numbers are spot on. He was like, I would have been more concerned, but he was like, I looked at your numbers this year. I've looked at your numbers, 26, 25, and he was like, you're probably being a little too conservative in some of the stuff that you're presenting. But at the same point in time, this is real. I mean, this is the problem that you're facing everywhere. And he was like, there was another calculation that the state had given us too about, personnel, and I was telling him, what we had done with personnel going forward to next year, and he was like, you all are being as proactive as you possibly can with, the cuts that you made in personnel because you already had taken care of that, and, with bus routes and everything like that. He was like, you just have to be very vigilant in what you're doing and making the cuts that you're doing. And he was like, you just gotta stay on top of it. So, I think we're doing what we need to do, but we have to stay on top of it. We just don't have any excess. We have to make sure that everything that we are spending is right, and know that we don't have any extra. So the special revenue, everything that's basically budgeted in special revenue is all salaries. The second sheet that I did give you all is this is just an informational item. These are our federal programs that we have, and it just shows the decreases or, a couple of the increases, but what our federal programs have gone down. And all of these federal programs are based on our enrollment. And that was one reason why I asked Dr. Green to explain, what are we gonna do with this virtual option? How can we retain some of our people? How can we, I looked at Mr. Lister's enrollment numbers. There was like 13 or whatever the number was that had increased with Hope and homeschool. What can we do to get some of these kids back? Even if it is a virtual option, we've got to market ourselves. We still are a business at the end of the day, and we have to stay solid. So what can we do to market ourselves to get these kids back, even if it is in a virtual setting? So, and those, even if they are in a virtual setting, it still will help our federal program numbers to maybe increase a little bit to help our kids out. But all of our numbers are decreasing across the board. Just a few more things. I know that last time there was a question about how much have we set aside for facilities and that sort of stuff. So just a few numbers that I wanted to throw out to you all. Our charter school payment for next year is $298,000 that we're required to pay, and that is up by almost $60,000. So that was an increase from fiscal year 25 to 26. I'm sorry, 26 to 27. So we will be paying $298,000 for charter school. We did set aside for substitute costs $500,000. For other professional services, this includes speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. That's $310,000 that we spend, or that we've budgeted for next year. Our utilities next year for budgeting purposes are $765,000. And just interesting fact, we still do use heating oil at Jumping Branch, which we have set aside for $20,000. Whenever we look at transportation related expenses, that includes fuel, bus parts, tires, and bus replacement, we're at the same cost, which is $765,000. So for diesel fuel, we've budgeted $200,000, which we did not reach this year, but I did leave at that cost because I think we paid almost $5.50 a gallon for diesel this last round. So next time, be ready for RT Rogers because it was like $40,000 this round. Bus parts alone, we set aside at $200,000. And we did, our state bus replacement for this year was $230,000. And then the other, so we had said before that what our staffing costs were. Whenever we look at just the general expense and what we pay out of county level funds, we are right at 84% of what our expenses are nothing but our employees. So whenever we look at that, we have 177.64 employees that come out of county level funds or out of state aid funds. And whenever we look at just professional, we're paying $6.4 million, and service employee salaries are $2.3 million. And our fixed costs on top of that are $4.1 million. So our fixed costs are a huge portion of that. So our fixed costs are almost 32% of what we're looking for everybody. And so whenever we put all of that together, we're almost at $13 million. So out of that 18.5 million, we are $13 million of just nothing but salary and fixed costs. And just because I'm a number geek, when we look at our fixed costs, that's retirement, Social Security, insurance, I'm missing one, and workers' comp. We are paying an average for our employees, whether service or professional, to almost $23,000 for those employees. So
Overhead costs.
yeah, that's our overhead cost for those employees. So, and that's an average of, whenever I take that 4.1 million divided by the 177.6 employees, 177, that's $23,000 per employee. So that's huge. That's almost a salary per employee. That's an extra salary per person that we're paying. So when there's lots of negativity in the community about how we're keeping everything going. It's a lot to keep a school
Need to
system
sit
going.
and talk to you.
Yeah, because it's a lot to keep it rolling. So
And to say that 23,000 is a salary person, that's also fairly livable wage.
correct, because on Monday evening, we opened up, the central office, Amanda Sampson, Natalie Hicks, and myself, we stayed at the office until 7 to let employees come in to, because it's open enrollment for PEIA, and we only had 4 employees come in, but I think that it was very beneficial. And we had one employee come in who, I think I don't know how long he's been in the system, but he's been here for quite some time. And he is a bus operator, and he has family coverage, and his insurance is going up almost $170 a month because he has the spousal surcharge, and he's paying almost $860 a month for health insurance. And I mean, that's way more than what his raise was. And it's absolutely crazy. But that's his portion. It's not even including what our portion is, which is almost $20,000 that we're paying for him. And I mean, not that I'm complaining, but with what he's paying and then what we're paying, it's absolutely astronomical. But anyways, just a few numbers to throw out there. But I wanted you all to have that so you all knew what was coming down the pike for next week, or not next week, the last week of May. And if you all have any questions or concerns, I know that Dr. Green is going to show me how to get everything uploaded onto the website. I know that I told you all several weeks ago that I would get those things taken care of, but as soon as I can get that taken care of, I will get all of this uploaded and our monthly reports out there, and the budget will be out there as well.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
When it comes to the benefits, are we locked into PEI?
I'm not sure. I know other people have talked about that, but I'm not sure if anybody's ventured outside of that yet. And it would have to be part of our summary plan. So I'm really not sure. I don't know if any other counties have really ventured out, and I'm not sure if it's something legal either. We would have to look into that.
This was discussion tonight. When does this get approved?
It would be at our next meeting, because it is due to the state by May 30th. And if there's anything that you all would like to see, or anything that you think needs to be updated or changed, just let me know and we can make changes.
So the main driver of increasing costs is overhead, benefits.
It is. So our staff did get.
By the state. Put that out there.
Mhm. So we did get the 3% raise. Well, the state received, and it's a weighted 3% raise. So not everybody really received a 3% raise. So it was 15.
Benefit rates increased by how much?
So it was a 3%, but then whenever you look at the employee side of things, some of it was a 3%, but it was also with the RHBT, which is the retirement side, to help fund the retirement portion of the PEIA for employees. So, and then you have the spousal surcharge. I think it increased by $150, $200 a month. So depending on how that played out, and then also we did have one person sign up for the high deductible plan where the employer has to put $500 into a flexible spending account. So we have that coming July 1st that we'll have to set aside or put into that account. But it's all driven by basically what the state and PEIA tell us that we have to have.
So with the 3% raise, just let you keep doing it. Any other questions? All right, if not, we will move on to item C, discussion of possible action to approve textbook adoption. Have a sheet with the textbooks that are being adopted. Everybody should have it. I'm assuming this went through the committee as it always does. You all looked at several different books or textbooks for each one, and then the committee decided.
Yes, they submitted, they went to they went to either a virtual or in-person book caravan. And for those subjects, they looked at what was available. They had to complete the paperwork to show that it met at least 80% of the content standards. And then the committee submitted their recommendations along with the paperwork to Ms. Sears. And that's what you have before you.
And are these textbooks, or will these be online textbooks, or will it be a combination of both?
It's a combination.
What's the cost like?
I do not have that number right now.
And who else on the committee?
It's the elementary has usually a team, a representative, like two from every school that look at it, and then the high school, it's typically the teachers that teach that subject. Where we're such a small school, for example, like middle school health, it's going to be Miss Woodrum. High school health is going to be Miss Blevins. Now, and to that end, cost-wise, both Miss Blevins and Miss Woodrum have opted to continue the adoption of their current textbook because the newer ones really didn't change a whole lot, and they had a lot of pretty much brand new books where we either not used or had to buy, so they wanted to stay with their current curriculum. This is an example for those two ladies.
And then we do different subjects. How long, when we adopt a textbook, how long is it?
6 years.
6 years cycle, and so there will be other subjects next year.
Yeah.
Motion we approve the textbooks that have been proposed.
Second. Motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the textbooks that have been chosen. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the textbook adoption has been approved. Item D, discussion of possible action to approve the SESC MOU for bus driver training and exams. We used them last year, didn't we? Nothing's really changed other than the cost. Same.
It's the same.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the MOU to use SESC for the bus driver training and examinations.
I'll second that. Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by myself, to approve the SESC MOU for bus driver training examinations. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we have approved the SESC MOU for bus operator training examination services. Discussion of possible action to approve the M3T MOU. Are there any changes to this MOU?
Not to my knowledge, there's no changes. Did we add anybody? We're trying to grow the team. Yeah. Is it, I'm getting things mixed up, so I apologize. I realized, Ms. Lamb was on it last year.
Yeah, and Mr. Phipps, who is now one of our middle school math teachers, he's been added and is coming on board. Miss Aliff this year has worked with them with that program, and then you've got Miss Holt kind of leading the charge there, and then we anticipate our 6th grade teachers, even though they'll be all content teachers, we anticipate that they will come on board and be part of that as well, since they'll all be teaching math. And we will add at least one special ed math teacher to that team as well. And I think we reached out, there's some discussion about adding fifth grade teachers to it to kind of help with the alignment between the two levels. So it is a growing team. And then we did get a grant to help fund the work that M3T is doing as well.
And so our cost is $5,000 per quarter.
Let me pull it up.
$1,000 grant, is that the one you're talking about for the administration?
No, we got about a $25,000 grant for that at the beginning of the year to help with costs for the upcoming school year.
Okay. And that can be used on supplies
Or professional development, or pay subs, like if they have to go to a math conference or something of that nature.
Make a motion to approve the MDT MOU.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the M3T MOU. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstaining. Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the M3T MOU has been approved. Discussion of possible action to approve library fund FY27 allocation. We have those numbers in our folder anywhere. I know it was 18.
Yeah.
They were.
60. I knew I saw them somewhere, I just couldn't.
So on the second sheet, I think that is.
I have to find that sheet. Yeah. So on the second sheet, the state recommends 13.
It's just easier.
Yes, it's this one's easier.
16,492.
Yeah, that's correct.
And we are currently getting about 18,500.
18,592. It's a $2,100 difference.
It's a strange thing to hear me say. We've seen this feeling. This is my 8th year on the board. It's always been an 18,000.
I agree with that, because there's some things you can't put a price tag on, and I love to see kids read. Was that a motion, Mr. Brogan?
Not necessarily, we're just discussing.
I guess my concern is that the budget that we heard discussed earlier in our situation with me, I understand the need for those funds. But I also understand the need for our state funding for different projects that we have. And if we are not necessarily willing to take the state's recommendation on library funding, it may be an unfavorable look if we need funds for some of the project money. That's my only concern. And I do understand what you're saying, Mr. Brogan. It's been at 18, almost 18.6 as long as I've been involved and can remember this being a discussion at board meetings. But I also realize that our student population has dropped and our tax base has dropped. I sympathize with the library, but I also know we're in a very tight situation financially as well. You're right, I'm not surprised.
Well, my thought behind that was, even though we may have a decline in enrollment, that's still going to make the library any less expensive to run their day-to-day.
Now, we are giving them some in-kind donations as well, aren't we? Like fuel for the bus mobile? Is that I just remember that from previous years.
You know, we still do.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I would say that we still are.
I think it used to be like housed there.
I don't think that it's being housed there anymore. I think that they have moved it, and I know that it doesn't sit on Fourth Avenue anymore. But I would think that we're still putting fuel in it. I mean, we can find out.
That's my fault, I told you, it would probably not be a problem. We can leave.
Who wants to find that out before you go? Put it on the agenda.
If we're not giving fuel, maybe that's something we can do to offset. Just make sure it can be done.
Let me find out what the math is on that report, because that could exceed the difference.
Right.
Especially 550 gallon.
Yes.
And again, I sympathize with him because as he said, the generator on the boatmobile's not working, and everything is more expensive now than it was last year, so. I would like to find out if we're giving them any in-kind donations through fuel or anything before we decide on this. So, yeah, I'll make a motion, and I hate to do this, it seems like we do this all the time, but we need a little more information, so I would like to make a motion that we postpone any action on the approving library funds for 27 until the May 26th. So there's a motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we postpone any action on the library fund FY 26 until the May 26th, 2026 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
As far as discussion, just when you contact Jeff, tell him I apologize.
Tell him it's Kenny's fault.
Didn't need to stay.
Sorry. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstaining. As reflected by 5-0 vote, we will postpone any action on this until the May 26th. Discussion or possible action to approve child nutrition bids for 2027. We have the Gordon's Food and Supply Service from Mountaineer Steer for fresh beef and United Dairy for dairy products.
These were all, say, properly bid through the Country Roads Co-op, which is now 11 County Co-op. Gordon's is the one we've been using for the past 3 years. We had to rebid because we were adding counties to the co-op, which was kind of throwing off the bid. Mountain Steer is, of course, local for the fresh beef, and United Dairy is the only dairy in town. But it was all properly bid. And each county, the Country Roads Co-op counties is having their boards to approve it as well.
How long is this MOU for?
They're for 1 year with a rollover option twice,
Okay, so it could be
Could be.
maintained for 3 years.
3 years. Make a motion that we approve the child nutrition bids for 27.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, second by Mrs. Farley to approve the child nutrition bid for 2027. Any discussion? So my question would be, you said all boards in the 11 counties will be voted, what if one vote? Is it majority, is it?
It would still be majority, because if only one did, it wouldn't substantially change.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstaining, minutes reflect by 5-0 vote that the child nutrition bid for 2027 has been approved. Item H, discussion or possible action to approve out-of-state or overnight trips. We have the NCCEP Europe National Conference, July 19th through the 22nd in Washington, DC, that's Jones Avery, Richmond, Sean Hawkins and Amberly Stover. And we have Sarah Griffin West Virginia State Track Meet, May 22nd through the 23rd in Charleston.
Make a motion that we approve the, out-of-state or overnight trips.
We have a motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. Brogan, to approve the out-of-state overnight trips. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstaining, minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the out-of-state overnight trips have been approved. I just want to take a minute and say congratulations to our track team for their efforts. They represented us well. And we have quite a few of them that will be participating.
Small but mighty.
Small but mighty, that's correct. Item 9, discussion of possible action to approve step increase for Michelle Perkins. This is just based on her certifications.
Yes.
Yeah, because she's a long-term sub and she's a fully certified math teacher, she's entitled to that step increase.
She's taught long enough to talk about it.
I'll make a motion to approve the step increase for Michelle Perkins.
I'll second. Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by myself, to approve the step increase for Michelle Perkins. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstained, minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the step increase for Michelle Perkins has been approved. All right, we are now at personnel. There are a couple names that we need to add. Just down here to find those.
Put on the top of the section.
Second page, okay. So special education teacher, and that's for HAE.
Correct.
Okay, so for there, a name of Kelly Atkins. And for the PE health teacher, also in the area, that's gonna be Michael Hill. And these positions were listed on the agenda and posted for the amount of time. We just needed to add names to those, so. So we have before us, we have one resignation. We have one transfer professional. We have,
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Dr. Green, will that, transfer professional personnel, will that take care of the vacancy?
That will take care of that.
That'll be removed from that meeting?
Yes. I'm sorry, that one should have been removed when we updated that name.
And then we have employment professional personnel. We have employment extra duty, extracurricular, volunteers. We have summer professional employment, personnel realignment, substitute professional personnel. There's a lot of those.
Do you have,
Substitute service personnel. That's all that we have listed.
hold on. Yes, that is correct. He's always been third.
Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Hey,
I read them.
Okay, did I miss any of those?
I thought it was third probationary.
We'll run through them one more time. So, some of these are, they stretch to so many pages, I want to make sure I didn't miss any. So we have resignation retirements, we have no one for leave of absence, we have one for transfer professional personnel, we have none for transfer service personnel, employment professional personnel, we have 2 candidates, we have none for employment service personnel. We have several for extra, employment extra duty, extracurricular volunteer. We have
No, we have none.
none for substitute professional personnel. None for homebound teacher. We have one for summer professional employment. We have one for personnel realignment, 26-27. We have a slew of names for substitute professional personnel for 26-27, and we have quite a few for substitute service personnel for 26-27. Okay, so we've now covered all those.
Are these on the substitute professional service personnel, just contract renewals?
Yeah, normally,
And is this everybody on that list?
so what we did was in March, we reached out to all current people on our substitute list and we asked them if they wish to remain on the sub list for the upcoming school year. And then once we got their yes or no, then we put them on the agenda. You know, a lot of times I think you kind of get this list in the summer, but where we've been trying to be really proactive with personnel, we're getting this to you much earlier than we normally do.
There were just some names that I didn't see.
There are a couple, for whatever reason, they said they did not want to remain on the list.
All right, so do I have a motion for personnel?
Yeah.
If I could go back to this book.
Fine.
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we approve personnel recommendations.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mrs. Hartley, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the personnel recommendation. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the personnel recommendations have been approved. Item 13, superintendent's report.
I just have one thing to say. There's a new award from the state superintendent called the Rising Leader Award. And it just so coincides with, I will say that I don't debate on social media. And to me, social media just means Facebook, because that's how old I am. But while I don't debate, I do get on there and read some comments. And there were just a lot of, they weren't really terribly mean comments, but there were a lot of comments about, in the wake of the levy not passing, that our personnel are perhaps less than other counties, and they are not. We do have some very good, very good personnel. And because of, I just wanted to say that just today, there's a deadline of tomorrow, and today I nominated 8 teachers to this Rising Leaders Award. And each one of them deserved to be nominated. So we do have good faculty and staff in Summers County. So
We need some extra funds to help them.
we sure do, you know, to keep them, but we don't have subpar.
Thank you.
So hopefully at least one of those will win.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, appreciate you nominating those, and your, I'll echo your sentiments. We have some very good employees.
Yes, we do.
We do. We're very lucky.
Anything else? No. Okay. Item 14, discussion of next agenda. So we have for the remaining of this current fiscal year, May 28th, June 3rd, and June 30th. Right, what did I say, June 8th? Oh, 3rd. Wow. I'm blaming my bifocals, I saw the 3 and 30. So we have 3 meetings, May 28th, June 9th, and June 30th. I would like to consider a work session on May 28th. Let's.
Back in the body.
It is 26, yeah, I'm sorry. Sure. It is the 26th, not the 28th.
Did
So-
it say say the 28th for any reason regarding that meeting that we have to pick up and,
I think if I had to guess, it probably said the 28th because that's 14 days from today. And today's meeting was on 14.
I just wondered if that was, but that doesn't matter in regard to any, picking
No.
that meeting back up.
No, because I'm gonna go this evening as soon as we leave here and send it to the state auditor's office. And it should be pretty straightforward because the levy did not succeed this time.
Okay.
So,
Let's look at the 26th for a potential work session. If you all would get with Dr. Nod or myself with some, times you would be available. If we need to move that meeting a day or two either way, potentially we could. If that date doesn't work for a work session. So just kind of look at your calendar when you get a chance and respond to Dr. Nod or myself. Let us know what time you would be available. And we very well could. And it's really just kind of an end of the school year closeout type. What have we done? Well, what do we need to consider for next year? And we could probably very well do that. Very easily. That's like a 4 to 6, and then have our just continue into our meetings. That works for you?
Tuesday works.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
It's on the
Okay.
I just trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, understood. If you have any agenda items that you want for the next meeting, if you know now, we can add those on. We have a few already that we've got time to put in. Yeah, we can do that. So, did you hear that? Levy call. Levy call. As always, if you have any other agenda items that you would like on the agenda, just reach out to Dr. Nod or myself. We can get those added. All right, Mr. McBride, you are up.
All right, I make a motion to approve time baseball.
Second that. Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by myself, that we adjourn this meeting, 11 o'clock.